Now, excitement building, of course, for the Paris Olympics starting a week today.
It's not the first time the Games have been held in Paris. They were there in 1900 and then more famously in 1924. That's when British runners Eric Liddell and Harold Abrahams won golds, and then they were later immortalised in the film Chariots of Fire. Our correspondent, Hugh Schofield, has more.
Paris, 1924.
The 1924 Paris Games were staged in the western suburb of Colombes in a purpose-built stadium over what had once been a horse racing track. This was where the athletic events took place, but also gymnastics and cycling, and a century on, it's still very much in use. What's wonderful is that so much of the original setting of those 1924 Games is still here. The opening ceremony took place on this very piece of turf, and along this track, running along here, Harold Abrahams and Eric Liddell of Chariots of Fire fame did their stuff. After Liddell and Abrahams, Colombes went on to become a famous football and rugby stadium. For years it was France's answer to Wembley. And now, at these Games, it's back as an Olympic venue for hockey.
So many great names have run and kicked and tackled in this ground. It's a place that's full of the ghosts of athletes. You can almost see them and hear them.
But before 1924, there were the 1900 Paris Games, and they left this superb legacy, the Cipal Velodrome in the Bois de Vincennes, one of the oldest in the world. 1900s were weird games. Many competitors weren't even aware that they were taking part in the Olympics. And then there were the strange events like boule, artillery firing, hot air ballooning, and cricket. The only ever Olympic cricket match took place on this ground in 1900. England against France. England won, but that does mean that France is today the titular silver medal holder in Olympic cricket. Not a lot of people know that.
The Games of the 8th Olympiad.
A lot of people did know this man, though, the 1924 American champion swimmer Johnny Weissmuller, soon to become famous as the first film incarnation of Tarzan. 50 years later, the BBC caught up with him again at the Olympic pool in Paris and asked him how his lungs were. Hugh Schofield, BBC News, Paris.
That's terrific. Sitting us now, double Olympic gold medalist Alistair Brownlee. Morning to you.
Morning.
Johnny Weissmuller, have you ever seen him swim?
No.
Because there was a clip of him swimming there, and you're an expert swimmer, and he swam always with his head above the water. He had this extraordinary swimming style and was an Olympic sort of god, apart from anything else, and went on to be Tarzan, of course, just to explain. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah.
Do you want to comment, first of all, on the triathlon using the Seine? And we know this week it was given the official approval. They will be, presumably some of the people you know well will be swimming in the Seine. What do you make of that?
I think it's fantastic. I think water quality in major cities and urban areas is a problem all over the Western world. And, you know, I think everyone's got the same problem of trying to deal with old infrastructure. And when you get extreme weather events, you get overflow that the sewage systems can't control, and it goes into watercourses. But yeah, I think all being well, and it looks like it is, what an amazing legacy of the Olympic Games that it's been used as a spark to clean up the River Seine in Paris. And I think they're amazing venues for the triathlon and open water swim events that it's going to be right in the centre of Paris, amazing for the athletes and brilliant for spectators to watch.
When you're sitting here and you can see all the branding, and you've been here before, I know we're going to talk about the T100 because you've got a different event you're doing next weekend, in fact, but are you slightly kind of whimsical or just thinking...
Actually, no.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think, you know, I stayed up in the middle of the night to watch the Sydney Olympic Games and never thought I would go to any Olympic Games, never mind 3, and win 2 gold medals. So I feel like I had an amazing run at it. Yeah, far out overachieved my expectations, and now I'm really looking forward to being part of the Olympic Games and watching all the sport from the other side of the barrier.
What's this because why don't you just rest? Seriously, you've done it. As you said, you've kind of gone above and beyond your own expectations, and, you know, you're loved, obviously, by, you know, sports fans everywhere. This T100, what is this? This is next weekend.
Yeah, the T100 is a long-distance triathlon World Series. Over the distances of 2-kilometre swim, 80-kilometre bike and an 18-kilometre run, adds up to 100. That's why it's called T100. And yeah, it's been all over the world in Miami, Singapore and San Francisco so far. And the London leg of the World Series is in London next Saturday and Sunday at the Docklands.
Where's is the swim in open water?
Yeah, in the Docklands in London, yeah.
And what's the quality like there?
Apparently it's really good. So I'm told. I've not tested it myself, but yeah, apparently that water is cleaned and used regularly for water sports.
Alistair, when you're as good as you are and you were as an Olympian, did you presumably got to a point where there was a target on your back, that in the lineup, when people are starting, they see you, they see your brother, and they know what you're capable of. Did that change the way you went about your racing? How did that affect you? Because you must have known that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, firstly, triathlon is an outside, unpredictable, very variable sport. You know, it's not like a controlled, I don't know, cycling track environment where you're on your own. There's tactics, there's weather involved, there's potential risks of crashes. So there's always that element of uncontrollables, which is one thing. And the second thing is I try to use that to my advantage. Quite early on, I had a coach tell me that actually being the favourite is a privilege, firstly, that famous sporting cliche, but also, you know, use it to your advantage that you deserve it. And ultimately, if you're the favourite for something, you've done something to get there, which is better than not being the favourite. So I saw it like that, saw it as a positive and saw it as a way to try and use it I guess, to my advantage. It's
like being told to have a bit of swagger, which is a thing, you know. It's perhaps in this country we don't like it when people have swagger, but if you've earned it and deserved it, and it's something you should embrace. And I know you're part of this Play Their Way campaign, which is taking a look at changing the way coaching is for younger people and to encourage them into sport. Tell us more about that, what you're doing with it, and what you kind of are bringing to it. Yeah, so I think I really believe in the importance of sport and activity in young people's lives. It's why my brother Johnny and me set up our foundation, which has had over 70,000 young people do their first triathlon with us for free and turn up, which is amazing, something we're both very proud of. And again, something I think that's far exceeded our expectations. Do you get in with them? Triathlon. Do you kind of join in? I've never actually been in the pool with them, but I've spent lots of time cheering them on, sometimes giving them a push on the bike when they've struggled on a bit of a hill. But yeah, I think it's all about, for me, removing barriers, allowing young people to get those early sporting experiences, whatever they might be, because we don't know what sport will, you know, inspire various young people. And then when they have those, and this is what Play Their Way is all about, how do you make it as fun and inclusive as possible? And Play Their Way is really about giving the coaches actually the tools to allow these early sporting activities to be fun, inclusive, and to hope that kids then come back more. Can I ask you one last question about rivalry? Say you do a really good training time, because I know you're training all the time still. Do you send that to your brother? Do you still... Is that still ding-dong going on? I mean, it's obviously friendly, of brothers, and you've helped each other over the years. Most of the time it's friendly, yeah. But do you still, like, if you have a good training session, do you say, look at this? Yeah, I mean, we probably wouldn't send it to each other. We still train with each other a lot. So, you know, we can be in the swimming pool doing a swimming session or out on the bikes. And, yeah, of course, it always gets competitive. So, yeah, and I think over the years we've got a kind of relatively strict criteria that we won't be competitive on the kind of easy stuff. But, yeah, we both know to an extent when the gloves are off and then, yeah. So Monopoly's peaceful, but training sessions not so much? Yeah, I think definitely you get the competitiveness almost beat out of you in some way. You know, you have to be really competitive when you need to be, and it's not like when we were kids where there was no chance we're having a family Monopoly game. You know, half an hour in, the board was going everywhere. Now we can probably compete peacefully over most things. It is an amazing legacy. I mean, you know, you're a double Olympic gold medalist. It's just an extraordinary achievement. So lovely to see you here this morning. Good luck with the next event. Thank you. Next weekend. Hope for decent weather. Thank you very much.